Welcome back to Trading Life Masters, everyone. This is Zicheng back again with another video. In this video, I will be explaining my news trading strategy. I'm sure the moment when I mention news, everyone gets super excited, am I right? As you'll see huge ups and downs, and it's either you make tons of profit or you lose your account. Before we start, I hope you can first press the like button, share it with your friends, and lastly to subscribe so that you wouldn't miss out on the latest videos. Before we jump into the news trading strategy, you first have to understand where can we read up the news and when do we know the news will be released. So let me recommend you a website. This is fastbull.com, which it is a website that I use personally. So Fastbull website, it gives you the latest news article. We have news columns, 7x24, which is the latest news updates every single time. Like right here, we have different timings for different latest news. Then we have economic calendar, we have live quotes where real pricing is here, and we have data, we have analysis, and we have the pro version. So if we want to check out news, we have to head to economic calendar. So this is the economic calendar section where it shows you today what news do we have and what time it will be released. So today is a Monday where this video is recorded, so there's obviously no news today, no data releases today. So if we jump onto tomorrow, these are the news for tomorrow on 15th of August. So we have the time, this is my local time, the Malaysia time, but it will be adjusted accordingly to your local time. So it will show you what country is having what kind of news as well. Then we have the actual where it is loading right now because it will only be released tomorrow at the specific time. Then we have the previous data and what the economists are predicting as well. Then besides this, we also have events, and we also have holiday. So on the 15th of August, we can clearly see that we have South Korea, Seoul Stock Exchange holiday. Then we have Italy, Milan Stock Exchange holiday as well. So this is where I check the news releases every single day. So now let me unveil my news trading strategy. So unfortunately, the way that I trade the news is that I don't trade it when the news is released. Now, why don't we trade when the news is released is because it is super dangerous. It is a 50-50% chance. A 50% that it will go up and 50% that it will go down. Besides that, the reason why I don't trade when the news happen is because of very high slippage and as well as very high spread. Even if you may guess the correct direction, but if you try to enter at the exact time, you will get a very high price or a very low price. Definitely not at the price that you desire to enter. So let me write down the reasons that I don't trade during news, like the exact time when the news is released. Reasons not to trade when the news is released. The first reason is 50-50 chance. Now, why don't we trade it if it's a 50-50 chance? Because that would mean it's just like going to the casino to gamble. Because if you are gambling, it's also a 50-50% chance. So we don't want that whenever we are trading Forex. We try to have a higher probability when we are choosing one side. So the next reason is high slippage. High slippage is where when you try to enter at, for example, $1, it could give you $2. So that is high slippage. And the second reason is high spread. Whenever it gives a high spread, it is very hard to enter because you might, now the common concept is buy low, sell high. But because of high spread, it could give you the opposite, which is buy high and sell low, which is not in our favor. Now that you have understood why I do not trade when the news is released, what I do is I trade after the news. So what do we do usually is that we identify the trend first. What is the trend of that currency? So let's say if the trend is a downtrend, so obviously our bias would be sales. So we'll be only looking for sales. Now, what happens if the news release is here? Let's say at this moment, the price is going to be released and it decides to spike down. price decides to spike down during the news release, what I do is that I will wait. I do not follow the news and enter aggressively. What I've seen beginners try to do is that they try to chase the news, but do not do that. Remember, I said that there's high slippage and as well as there is very high spread. So even if you try to enter possibly here, you could get an entry about here. And if price decides to reverse before your entry, it can give you a huge loss. So what do? I will draw a Fibonacci retracement from the news release to the high, or in this case it will be a low. So what I do is I wait for price to retrace back and potentially fill up the news gap, because it will give a gap, the news. I'll wait for it to fill up the imbalances in this area, preferably either the 50% or the 61.8%. And once it fills, I'll wait for a bearish confirmation. Then I'll wait for bearish confirmation, for example, bearish engulfing or a break of market structure. So let me demonstrate in this case how it would look like. So let's say if it decides to climb up, so firstly we draw a Fibonacci level. If it decides to climb up like this, what I do is I'll wait for price to break structure, and once it breaks structure, I will take the sells here, place our stop loss above and target below. And that is when we are still following the trend, which is a downtrend, and we are still looking for sells only. Of course, if it decides to retrace higher, that's even better, because it can provide us a better risk to reward. So this is how I would trade the news if it's a downtrend. But of course, if it's a downtrend, if it spikes up instead of down, I'll just move to the next pair. Let's have a look of an uptrend. So if price is making lower highs and higher highs, that would mean we are having an uptrend. So buyers would be buys. And what happens if the news release is here? At this moment, it decides to spike up, I'll stay out of the market first. What I'll do is I'll draw a Fibonacci level from the news release moment to the high, and what I'll do is I'll wait for a retracement. So if price decides to retrace like this back to the Fibonacci levels, I'll wait for it to break market structure. So in this case, breaking market structure, then I'll place a long position, place my stop loss right below and target the next high. So this is how I would trade the uptrend, just waiting for the retracement. And if it decides to spike down, I will stay out of the market because it is not in my favor, right? So this is how I would trade the uptrend for my news trading strategy. That is it for this news trading strategy video. Hope you enjoyed it and as well as learned something new. If you are interested in watching me live trade or live analysis, hop on to trading.live where I live stream daily. Before you leave, make sure you have hit the like button, share it with your friends, and lastly subscribe as well. See you the next time and trade safe.